just get it. And that could be part of the reason of the controversy, because if you have
no, it's not. It's usually I hate to say it, it's usually feminists that are attacking the traditional family values, and they act like it's oh well, it's so dehumanizing to women. They're trying to put women back in the home barefoot and pregnant and dehumanizing the woman. And I get so tired of reading these articles, and they're coming up with a bunch of junk research that they've gotten extrapolated research from other things that says, well, it's really not that much of a difference. And that in a westernized country with modern healthcare, and also if you get your children in early Head Start programs, there's minimal difference. And I'm thinking, well, not everyone can do that. Lower income women can't do that. They can't afford that type of extra stimulation, extra education to get the extra cognitive and benefits from breastfeeding. And they can't afford that, really high cost daycare where you have a lot of interaction between the child and the caregiver. I mean,
I want you to ask that.
See?
Yeah. So when we come back, I'm going to kick it back to you and say, Action, did you breastfeed when you were a kid? And then I want you to say something and pop off with your question.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
I just think a lot of people are just uncomfortable with it in general.
And I want you to talk about that. I want you to talk about it's more about feminist and anti-family values than anything else.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely. I've never had a guy who's upset about breastfeeding. 99% of the time, it's another woman who's disgusted by it. And when women have trouble at their job, it's going to be a female boss. It's never a male boss that goes, oh, you can't breastfeed. Because Angela goes, hey, they don't even want to touch that.
Let's talk about it. I mean, let's talk about in the workplace that it's even being, put down or whatever. Now, has breast pumping, has that prevented some of the workplace disruption, maybe, if that's what they're thinking it is?
Yeah, because a lot of people feel like, you're taking away from time, to breast pump. Well, you're pumping 3 times a day for 10 or 20 minutes. Some people with a smoke break, they're going out once an hour.
Right.
And when you're pumping and feeding your baby human breast milk, you miss a lot less work. So you're actually not inconveniencing your coworkers by missing, work because your child is sick all the time.
See, when you talk about that too. Well, so when Sharavius comes in and he asks that, then let's go from there to the workplace and some of the myths, and so go ahead and just carry that over.
Okay.
And if you want, I'll ask, how does the workplace view this or something like that?
Okay.
And then we'll get into the health benefits to the mom. Because you listed quite a few health benefits.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't overwhelm people with information.
No, more information. I want 2 hours of information versus 1 hour when I have a 1 hour show.
Okay.
Always want too much. I need a new computer so bad. I cannot get this.
The Apple Store is not too far.
Oh, buddy, Blue Eyes. Good morning. Good morning, Dallas, Fort Worth.
What a great morning for that song on this cloudy, almost rainy Thursday morning.
Boy, I tell you what, sitting on a rainbow, Dr. B.
Just think about it. That rainbow's up there.
Pick up that cup of coffee, sit back and enjoy On Point with JP and Dr. B. You can catch us online as well at jpanddrb.com. At our website, you can listen live, or you can even go down and hit our YouTube link, and you can catch our shows. We're not quite live yet on YouTube, but you can catch the recordings the very next, or just after the show. On with us today is lactation expert and consultant, internationally board certified, Cleo Marchese, and we are talking right now about why it has become controversial to breastfeed, when in fact for hundreds of years that was the way you provided nutrients to your baby. And
actually, from millennia.
Millennia. See, I've been corrected. Millennia. I stand corrected. Speaking of millennia, Action, did you get breastfed when you were a kid? Yeah, see, I did too. Well, I'm healthy. Oh, yeah. I mean, look at you. You're a handsome fella, right? Yeah, I mean, so, has Cleo, has she tickled anything in your mind that makes you want to ask anything?
Actually, I'm not going to throw single men under the bus. I think it's kind of around the board. No. I'm really, if anything, I can honestly say, usually most men are pretty supportive of breastfeeding. I don't know a man alive that goes, hey, put those breasts away. No, actually, I think it's probably like a problem with society in general. I mean, you'd be surprised. And a lot of so-called mainstream, I would really like to call them pseudo-feminists, they kind of have trouble with breastfeeding, I think, because they feel like it's putting women back in the home barefoot and pregnant. They seem to see breastfeeding as dehumanizing to women, and I kind of think that's odd. You know, no one would tell you, hey, stop using your legs, just use a wheelchair even if you don't need to. And I think they kind of see breastfeeding as very anti-woman, and I don't understand how using a part of your body is considered anti-woman.
Well, and who do you find that is more against it then? Because if it's not really men, because I think we were discussing at the break that really you feel like 99% of men are okay with women breastfeeding. So who is really against women breastfeeding?
Sadly enough, it's other women. Women just, for some reason in our society, do not support other women. You know, if I do have friends that didn't breastfeed, and you don't see me, coming unhinged and going, oh my God, when our children were young, I can't believe you're doing something so selfish. So I just think it's interesting how so many women are attacked at the workplace, especially from female bosses when they want to continue to pump or have access to, a pump room. Because here in Texas, we do have laws that do protect women and breastfeeding, especially in the workplace. And like I said, 90% of the time, it's always going to be a female boss that's like, well, hey, you've been back for, a week or 2 weeks. When are you going to stop this nonsense? You're taking away from everyone else's time when you selfishly go pump. And actually, they're really not. If you think about it, most women only pump for about 10-15 minutes, 3 times a day. And when you do breastfeed, your baby's a lot healthier, so you're actually at work. So you're not actually taking away from anyone's time when you're at work and doing your job. But you really want to irritate people, constantly be taking off because your child is sick. Now that's irritating.
Well, and let's go ahead and segue into that. And before we segue into that, I wanted to ask you, what about folks that smoke in the workplace? Aren't they walking away from their desks?
Yeah, they do, and I always think that's hilarious. People get a smoke break and no one even bats an eye, but you let a woman go, hi, excuse me, I need to go to, my pumping station to pump, and usually it's just a conference room or small utility closet that's been dedicated to that. It's not even this elaborate setting. And, some people just come unhinged. And I really just think it's just the idea of breastfeeding, because in our society, most people just don't see it as a natural process between mother and baby. It's very intimate, too. And I think that's what makes people uncomfortable. They confuse that intimacy with other types of intimacy, and it's not. It's just a loving bond between the mother and child, where the mother nurtures her baby, emotionally and psychologically, and also with her body.
So are all businesses required to provide a place for women?
No, they're not. It is optional. You can become a part of the Texas work-friendly breast site. You can go on to the Texas Department of Health, and they'll have all of the information. They have stuff like this in every state. It's not unique to Texas at all. And some states have more regulations than others.
So a woman looking for a job may want to check with that future employee to
Yeah,
see.
they do list it, and that is a perk that a lot of companies are starting to come around, and they do have, like a dedicated refrigerator and like a little pumping room. And usually most of the time, most companies, some are really progressive. They actually have hospital-grade pumps where you can just bring your pump kit and hook it up to the pump and use it. Some companies actually have a hospital-grade pump on every floor.
Cleo, in talking about women and breastfeeding and the intimate relationship that creates between the child and the mother, do you find that these people that are against it are more feminist then and anti-family values? What are we looking at here?
I would definitely say that is a problem, but there's also women that are not feminists. I'm not going to throw, feminists also, to use that phrase again, under the bus. I think it's just because some people, they equate breast only with sexuality, and actually breasts are not as what you say it is sex organ. They're actually, they were made to nurture a baby. They were not made for any type of, it's kind of hard to really even explain. They really weren't made for what people think they were made for. They may have become sexualized in certain societies, but in certain societies, breasts are just breasts. No one even cares.
Well, and one of the comments that we received was from somebody over in Europe that said really breastfeeding over there is very normal, and it's not seen as an erotic or a sexual nature. It's more seen as a relationship between mother and child. And so I
Correct.
think,
And that's the problem over here. And there are a lot of societies, not just Europe, that just sees a breast as a breast. And unfortunately, over here, breasts have become, because of advertising and TV, highly sexualized. People wouldn't even bat an eye to see a Victoria's Secret model running around in a bra that's scantily clad or a bikini. And ironically, the head of a baby totally covers your breast. If a woman is sitting across the room from you, you're literally not going to be seeing anything. With most people, it's the idea of what's going on, not actually what they can see.
well, I'll tell you, I think let's transition and segue over, as you were saying a minute ago, when I kind of stopped us, into the health of the woman. What does breastfeeding do for mom? How does that help mom with their health? And how is that good for mom's mental health? We hear a lot about postpartum depression. Does breastfeeding help moms not go into postpartum depression?
Actually, it does help moms with postpartum depression a lot. It's because breastfeeding tends to, it gives you oxytocin, which is very calming and relaxing, so a lot of mothers feel more relaxed when they're breastfeeding. Another thing it does is it gives moms a huge sense of self-accomplishment because they're doing something for their baby that no one else can. And also the close, intimate relationship of holding your baby, stroking your baby, touching it, and talking to it all day is very relaxing. And it makes you feel like, for lack of a better word, like you're, superwoman. This child is totally dependent on you, and you feel like you've accomplished something huge that no one else can do.
Are you aware of any studies that talk about the health of the baby emotionally?
Oh my gosh, there are hundreds of studies. You can go Google it and just find just hundreds. They've documented so many studies. I mean, I don't think we could even do this in a 5-hour segment.
So, and those studies are supporting the fact that these children who are breastfed are much more well adjusted to society, less depression, less anxiety, perhaps?
Yes, true.
And what about ADHD? Do you know anything about that?
I really don't know of any studies that particularly talk about ADHD, but breastfed children, a lot of studies do show that they do bond a lot better with their mothers. And that's another reason, another hot button issue, because people go, well, I bonded with my baby just fine. And, I think, again, that comes to the point that other parents feel like they're being criticized when they see, facts and scientific studies.
Cleo, it's not an attack on moms that don't breastfeed, right?
No, it's not an attack. It's just, factual information. Another benefit to moms that breastfeed, are lower incidence of breast cancer. If you can breastfeed for just 4 months, you can lower your breast cancer rate by 24%. And the longer you breastfeed, a year or more, it goes down even more.
So there are many health benefits, even into aging as the child grows, if they're breastfed. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a lot of diseases that breastfed people tend to not get. They've had numerous studies, less cardiovascular disease, Crohn's disease is lessened a lot, ulcerative colitis, diabetes is very rare in people who've been exclusively breastfed, especially diabetes type 1.
What happens if a mother is ill? Does that prevent her from breastfeeding?
Ill as in?
Maybe just having the flu or something.
No, it does not. Minor illnesses never prevent a mom from breastfeeding. Matter of fact, it's better if you continue to breastfeed because your body produces antibodies immediately that makes sure that your baby either does not get that disease or gets a milder form of the disease.
And so when they're breastfeeding, we're talking about helping the child all the way around, plus helping the mother's emotional state as well.
Yes, correct. Because like I said, in the first year, breastfed infants tend to get less colds, diarrhea, and less incidences that send them back to the ER.
All right, well, folks, it is time for us to take a break, and that means that 628 is amongst us. So get your phones ready. Get ready to start dialing. The number is 214-787-1160.
Yeah, that's 214-787-1160. Dial now.
And that's right, dial now. You're going to be...
The word is
opportunity. So when you call in, if you're the 10th caller, you